Welcome to the show, Carmen. It's
Thank
good to have you.
Thank you.
And your story is an amazing one, just starting like with so many of us with childhood trauma, youth trauma. For you, it was losing your parents.
Yes. My mom died in 1993. I was 14 years old. And then just a year and a half later, my dad died in 1995.
And they both passed away from?
They both had HIV, which turned into AIDS.
To full-blown AIDS.
Yes.
And you were how old?
14 and then 15.
My goodness.
Yeah.
So what is that, how does that change your life beyond the obvious ways? I mean, losing a parent at any age, but as a teenager.
Yeah. You kind of feel like you don't have an anchor to call on when you need to ask questions, to guide you through adulthood or at that time being a teenager.
Right.
So it felt pretty lonely.
And then with HIV, AIDS, so many other complexities there. Did you even understand what your parents had passed away from?
Not at all. My mom was, she started losing weight maybe a year before she actually died. So I noticed that she had lost a tremendous amount of weight, but I didn't understand why at the time. I just knew that she was sick. And, you know, as a child growing up, for some reason, I always was a little bit worried about her, like something was going to happen. Like, I always had this intuition that maybe one day she wouldn't come home. And I don't know where that came from, but I was always kind of worried about her. So the first time that I saw her lose, she was maybe down about 60 pounds.
Wow.
I noticed it when I came home from vacation. Every summer I would go to my godmother's in Maryland, be gone for about a month. And in that month's time when I came home, she was drastic change. And it was jaw dropping, but I didn't ask her what's wrong.
Was there, and that's what my question is, was there a diagnosis that she shared with you, or did you learn later? Like,
so the thing is, she kept trying to talk to me about it, but because I had this instincts about her that I didn't want her to confirm, I would never let her finish the conversation. So she would try to sit me down and, you know, ask me like, well, I'm doing my will, and who would you want me to leave you guys to? Because I have 2 younger siblings, and I would just dismiss the conversation with like, you're
never going anywhere. Yeah, that's a heavy conversation.
And I would always just try to ease my way out of the conversation without letting her finish. But I did know that she was sick.
There's a beautiful picture of your family, your parents here. So when your father passes.
So my father, he already wasn't living in the house with us. He'd been put out when I was about 12. Because what I did know was that he was an alcoholic. I didn't actually realize that he was an addict, or probably didn't even think about what it meant to be an addict, but I didn't know that he drank. And so my mom on the side, she used to sell Tupperware, and he sold the inventory that was in the basement. And so that was why she put him out, or so I thought. You know, looking back at things, it could have been much deeper than that.
But that was so much more
that was the surface reason, like, oh, he sold the Tupperware in the basement, and so she's one day came home and said, you can't let him in the house, which was hard because that's daddy, and you saying don't let daddy in the house. But, you know, I had to do what mommy told us to do, because she was the one that was working. We understood that she was the one that was paying the bills. So whatever she said is gonna go.
So some time passes, obviously, and you end up going to college in spite of that kind of loss. So first of all, just kudos to you.
Thank you.
Young Carmen was going through it, and you still managed to go off to school.
So, you know, being the oldest of 3, it was always instilled in us, like, Carmen is the oldest, she's in charge, you have to follow the leader, whatever she says to do, that's what you're gonna do. And so as hard as it was, I knew that I had to finish doing the things that I knew that my mother expected me to do. She was a college graduate, she used to manage a congressman, like, she wasn't gonna be playing no games. This is what she's gonna do.
Success.
And, you know, our house was pretty, it was very abusive, like sometimes physically, but mostly emotional. You know, not everyone that moved in after my mother died probably should have been there, and they didn't know how to deal with young children. So it was just like,
and these were the people who were entrusted, though, to help get you through and stand in the gap.
And so I was like, the next in charge when it came to my brother and sister, which meant
is a lot of pressure.
Right.
So how did you do this though? Because you go to college, you do well, you succeed, but there are always these struggles. What did you do as such a young woman to really kind of shift and pivot?
I had to create a goal. It was like, okay, if mommy was still here, this is what she would expect you to do. So what is it that you would do if she was here? What would you tell her that you were going to do?
Yeah.
And so I grew up watching like the Oprah show. I was a huge Oprah show fan. I used to listen to Wendy Williams. And so I knew that entertainment and television production was something that I really liked. So I had to focus on like, how am I going to get to that?
Yeah.
So aside from writing Oprah every day, because I'm telling you, I probably wrote her a million letters.
But listen, I'm sorry to disturb you, but I definitely want to take a look at a clip from the show that you are now the executive producer of on Fox Soul. Let's take a look. Okay.
Not only do you guys have to think about who it is that you want to interview from, you know, a perspective of, oh, there's a new movie coming out, there's this coming out, but you need to keep your ear to the streets.
If we're gonna grow, I gotta focus on building the brand.
Even though this is something that you mainly relied on me for, I am now asking you to step up your game and start doing it yourselves.
I've invested everything in this. I cannot lose. So it's go time.
It's go time.
It's go time.
And you are doing it. What is this like to be able to now be a part of something so special where women are being showcased and your stories being told?
It's incredible because we all have these stories and these lives that we're, you know, life is life and we're going through these things and people don't understand how you're getting from point A to point B. And it is a hard and competitive industry, but in the midst of you competing for this role in this industry, you're still going through real life. And so I wanted to showcase that because everyone on my team has something really serious.
Everybody, I say everybody has a story to tell.
Everybody.
All right.